Hello third graders, today we're going to continue with our honeycomb background for our project we are currently working on. So last class you did your honeycomb design with that hexagon shape and you traced it with a Sharpie or black marker, whatever you had at home. So today I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to fill in your background. I've got some watercolor paints here, some crayons, colored pencils, markers. So I'm going to show you a little bit of all of these materials because I'm not sure what you have at home. If you are encountering issues with art supplies at home, reach out to me and I'll see what I can do to help you out there. Today we are going to be using primarily yellows, oranges, browns, and I might mix some of these materials together. I might use them just on their own to give you an idea of how you can use these materials to add color to your background. I want you to remember as you are making your artwork that you are the artist. There is no right or wrong way to do this. You are the artist. You get to decide what your honeycomb background looks like. Okay, I'm going to start with some crayons, and these are just crayons that my boys actually use. So some of them are well-used crayons and they work just fine. Some of them you can tell they haven't used this orange at all. So I just have a mix of crayons that I'm going to use here at my house, and I'm going to start just with brown on the outside of this honeycomb. And I'm making it a little bit darker here on the outside by applying a little bit more pressure. And then I am just kind of lightening it up by applying not quite so much pressure. And then I'm going to switch and I'm going to go to more of an orange color and I'm going to overlap it with that brown there a little bit. And then I'm going to add in some yellow. So that's one way of mixing some colored crayons together. I do want to address the space between the honeycomb that I have in this design, so I'm just going to color that in with yellow here. Okay, so there's an example of all crayons. Okay, now I'm going to switch and I'm going to go to some markers that I have. And same thing, I'm going to do some yellow in between. And I could color the whole thing in with yellow here. And then I'm going to add a design over the top. And for this one, I'm going to pull out my straight edge. So my ruler, you could use like the side of a book. And I am just going to add some lines here. Okay, so that would be one option, and I could do that for all of my things and maybe change the direction. Okay, I could also go for the same kind of effect that I was going for with the crayons with multiple colors and shades within a honeycomb here. Maybe I also add in a little bit of orange overlapping here. Maybe I don't add any orange, but I do an orange in between my honeycomb. Okay. So those are all different options that I could do. Now I can mix materials together. So I also have, oh, I said I had watercolors. I didn't do watercolors. Let's do back over here. So I've got my brush here sitting in water here, and I want to dip it, this is going to be my brown here, and the more water that I use, the less pigment that's going to show up. So that means the lighter the color is going to be. So I'm just going to try to use lots of water here to try to lighten up that brown a little bit. I'm going to get the paper wet here, and I am going to add some yellow in. Now I would not use watercolor if you use like a washable Crayola marker for this versus a Sharpie. Because if you used a washable Crayola marker, that marker is going to smear. Versus the Sharpie is a permanent marker, so that's going to stay in place. So just be aware of that if you are using some water on your artwork, that you have a marker that you used that will work well with that. Okay, so that is just watercolor, and one technique that you could just do all watercolor. Now we will transition to using multiple mediums together. So if you have crayons, markers, colored pencils, watercolors at home, you could definitely mix some of these together. And I'm going to show you, well, some of my favorites to mix together are going to be crayon and watercolor. And that's just because the wax in the crayon is going to resist that watercolor a little bit. So I really like using those colors or those materials together. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean here. So I did my brown outline here, and now I'm going to go in and add my yellow in. Okay, and the yellow's going to the brown is kind of going to resist that and almost act like a barrier for my paint. So that's going to be really nice and easy to use those two materials together. I could do colored pencil and marker together. So I could do colored pencil as my background here. And then let's say I want yellow to be a very dominant color within my design, so I could add some kind of a design on top of this. I know I did stripes earlier. I could do stripes again. Maybe I could do polka dots. Polka dots is one of my favorite patterns, so I'm going to use polka dots. So I'm using the same color but different materials so that that marker can kind of stand out behind the colored pencil background. So those are just some options. You could definitely play around with some different materials on maybe a scratch piece of paper before you start on your background. Once you do finish your background, I would like for you to upload a short video of it on Flipgrid for me, just so I can see what you guys are doing. Remember that you are the artist. You get to make the decision on what your artwork looks like. I can't wait to see it, third grade.